Hi everybody, it's Aluna Michaels, Esoteric Astrologer, coming at you to talk about the events of May 2020. Okay, so some interesting things to talk about and hope it doesn't sound too confusing, but I like to give details for people who know some more stuff about astrology. I'm going to say thank you to the guys at Know Thyself podcast. Please follow them and let them know you found out about them from me. They've been so great at promoting me. Okay, so we are going to have an eclipse. Now, eclipses always come in twos. We've got the new moon eclipse the 30th of April, and then we have the full moon eclipse on the 15th, 16th of May. So it was partial eclipse at the end of April, and then it's total eclipse in May. And the time in between is always a little weird. If you think about eclipses in the olden days, people were, I want to make sure this is recording. It's going, yeah, okay. In the old days, eclipses were frightening things, So there's still this element of weirdness between eclipses. It's not helping we're going into a Mercury retrograde too. I talk about Mercury retrograde as being internal communication, which it is, but it still comes down to this weird, surreal, otherworldly kind of convolutedness feeling. In a way, it's like anything's possible. You can create stuff out of this, wow, kind of thing. But it can also just be a little weird when you want to nail things down, So when the eclipse does happen, it's the sun in Taurus, moon in Scorpio, and it's at 25 degrees. And I'll talk about the eclipse, and also what's just interesting is the Mercury retrograde is tied in by the same degrees. So that's always interesting to me when that happens, that they're happening at the same time, but they're even more involved mathematically. So the eclipse is always, the full moon eclipse is always going to be the sun and the moon opposite each other. But also we're going to have the planet Saturn, which will be in Aquarius, making a square to both the sun and moon. And at the same time, Mars and Neptune will be in Pisces together, conjuncting, trining that moon. So it's a lot of things. So eclipses are more powerful moons. So that full moon is a major moon of completion. Now, if you follow some esoteric things, they talk about that full moon in Taurus, whenever it falls, is called the Wesak moon, W-E-S-A-K. In the esoteric tradition, they say this is when all of the ascended masters gather in the Himalayas for their annual meeting kind of a thing. But it has all this intensity to it and groundedness, and it's about kind of bringing that, I'm just thinking of the Lord's Prayer. I don't know, I'm not super into the Lord's Prayer, but, thy kingdom come on earth as it is in heaven, like a manifestation of what you've been working to manifest or create. And so Taurus is real, and Scorpio is even more of what's possible. So that full moon is, I think that's what that legend or reality of the ascended masters, it's like anything can be possible during this time and happen, so really holding tight to your beliefs. Now with the Saturn also squaring that sun and moon during the eclipse, Saturn's even more about manifesting and the reality of it, When we talk about Neptune trining the moon during that powerful full moon and eclipse, Neptune is the dream, so it's allowing more dreaminess of the Neptune, and the Saturn is the reality of the dream. So again, imagining really big and then manifesting, because that Mars is there next to the Neptune, it drives it forward. So it has more enthusiasm behind it, maybe more hopefulness instead of maybe, that Mars is yeah, we can do this, So it's a great time for completing a whole lot of things. That could be forgiveness work that you do, self-forgiveness work, committing to some type of spiritual program. It's daily meditation or yoga classes, I'm very into the self-compassion practices. I think that helps to open you up to so much more of compassion for others and allowing goodness into your life and really living your principles. You can have a lot of ideas, sometimes it's hard to have the rubber hit the road kind of thing. but it's that commitment to the improvement, to allow not just your own efforts to take you along, but the spiritual efforts too, because that's again part of Saturn and Scorpio. I mean, excuse me, Taurus and Scorpio. Taurus is like what I'm doing, but Scorpio is kind of like if you're on like an escalator, instead of just walking upstairs, you can walk up an escalator and go faster. So there's that idea of any piece you put in, you get it matched, even more so by the universe. So continuing to keep hoping for the best for yourself and keep going in the promises you have for yourself, even if you've failed before, just to get back on it, keep trying, and this could be the time it really clicks in, you know. Now, the Mercury retrograde, people like to know the degrees, it's going to retrograde on, let's say, May 10, 11, at like 4 degrees of Gemini, but it backs up into Taurus. And when it goes forward, it'll be at 26 degrees of Taurus, and that'll be May, June, no. Where did I write that down? Oh, I didn't write it down. Okay, goes direct on June 3rd. Oh, there it is, there's my note. But it's interesting because even when the Mercury retrograde hasn't happened, it's those points are sort of hot spots. And well, in fact, we did have the pre-Mercury retrograde start on April 26th. That's when Taurus was at 26. Mercury was at 26 Taurus. And then oh, I'm going to go retrograde, on May 10. And I go back to that point I was at on April 26th. Now it's June 3rd. Now I'm going forward again. And then clear out of that whole pattern June 18. But there's that thing about that point in Taurus, saying, oh boy, here we are again at this, we take that Mercury retrograde, like I like to think about it as this internal communication, as connecting with your higher self, your inner self, your most core desires, and really allowing yourself to get to know yourself again and reconnect to your heart, because so much about Mercury is out and doing and buzzing around, but it's like this Mercury retrograde is about coming in and being like, oh yeah, like touching base inside and then moving out again. So it really can be about this manifesting your dreams, Another cool thing going on, Venus is going into Aries just mostly for the whole month. It goes into Taurus later in May, but Jupiter is moving into Aries. Now, it pops into Aries, that's going to be May 11, and it will stay in Aries until like Halloween, and then it goes back into Pisces for a little bit, then basically Christmas goes back into Aries. So even though it's not fully in Aries, it's a lot of the year, it's in Aries. And, Jupiter's fun. Every time it enters a sign, it's like, yeah, because Jupiter's about expansiveness and the ease of manifesting things, the ease of, it's optimistic, it's hopeful, it's like this wide horizon. And of course, Aries is the beginning of the zodiac, so it's a whole new Jupiter cycle. And again, when we have Jupiter in Pisces as it is now, it is so much about the dream, and the Aries is the do. And so we got that same theme, kind of like from the eclipse and even the Mercury retrograde. So it's like daring to try things, daring to dream big, and then dream. And then, I was at one of my art fairs I was doing, and there was a little girl had a shirt and it said, dream it, plan it, do it. I was like, okay, little 6-year-old girl, So it's like that idea that the dreaming, and then we talked about the Saturn connecting with the eclipse is the planning, and the Aries stuff is the doing, So, and not holding yourself back, trying, and not being afraid of failing in this adventure, to say, oh, I get more information and retool myself. And that's one of the great things I think about Jupiter and Aries is it's very resilient. It's like, oops, fell down. Okay, get up, try this way, and like kind of eternal optimism. So that's really nice to have for May. Yeah. So, okay. For 10 minutes, it's pretty good, I think. Just with the Venus and Aries, just to say, that's also really nice about reconnecting to people in general, socially, trying dating again if you haven't been dating for a while, renewing your heart and believing in love, being able to reconnect with partners that you're with in a kind of with fresh eyes, So most of the month with that Venus in Aries is cool like that too. All right, so if you want to get a session with me, alunamichaels.com, or please text me or call me at 248-583-1663. If you're on YouTube, my number should be in the description here. I have a hard time sometimes reading messages on YouTube because I don't get notifications and I forget to check them. And yeah, also have my book on Amazon Kindle, the 12 spiritual gifts of the 12 astrological signs. That's what it's called. Okay, so have a great month of May, and I'll see you in June, and bye-bye for now.